and welcome to episode 2 of Stratford Live with Joe Draper
and Edward Lowe. We've had a really busy couple of weeks. We've been out and about talking to all different kinds of businesses out on different locations. We had such great weather over the Easter break. It is a little bit cooler now. We're still a little bit blessed, but there you go. Let's hope for some more sunshine.
Actually, while we're on this, I weirdly, a while ago, I checked into something. I was being a bit sad one day. I had a bit too much time on my hands. But I used to live in Kenilworth. And talking of the weather, I used to come over and see my friends in Stratford. And whenever I'd leave Kenilworth, it would be a bit cloudy and dull. And then I'd come to Stratford and it would always be sunshine. I couldn't ever work out why that was. So I went on to Google and looked into it. And it's something to do with a little microclimate that we sit in.
There is a microclimate because we are in a bit of a dip. We are in a bit of a dip.
Yeah, it's in a bowl or something. I can't quite remember where I saw it. But so I haven't made that up then.
No, and it's not just your memory sort of tricking you. No,
okay. Right,
so it is true.
All right, there you go. Well, look, we've a big week for no other reason than Games of Thrones come out. You can switch off at this point because you haven't got a telly. So those who don't know, Joe doesn't have a telly. Weirdo. Anyway, I do. However, I can't quite bring myself to watch it yet because I need to binge with me and Leah are like absolute binge watching a box set. So what happens? We can't like just have one episode at a time.
You've got to do a massive.
I've got to wait for them all to be there to be able to do it. So it's a problem with Facebook because then you keep on seeing little bits coming up to.
Yeah, you need to isolate yourself.
Yeah, I know. Close ourselves off. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. But yeah, we've got to binge watch it. So I'll have to wait a few more weeks to get a few more in the bank.
So you can wait for that, but let's get cracking with the show, Ed.
Indeed.
Let's get cracking with the show. So we've got lots of great things for you this episode. We would like to say a massive thank you to all of the people that did like, share and comment on the last episode. It was great to get such fabulous feedback, some really interesting comments, which will really help us sort of push forward with things as well. In today's episode, Ed will be talking in his Stat Chat session about which types of properties are performing the best at the moment. Yeah. So that's going to be a really interesting one to tune into. He'll also be giving his buy-to-let deal of the week. I will be giving you some wonderful events in the area which we think that you should sort of save a date in your diary for, and we'll also be chatting to a local business.
Yeah. So the business that we go to visit this week is Purity, the award-winning brewers, which is a bit difficult for me to say. So I'm quite pleased I got that right this time. They're fantastic business. They've grown hugely over the last sort of decade. Fabulous to allow us to have the opportunity to go and meet them.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys were great, weren't they? Yeah, really hospitable.
Absolutely great. And keep watching because Joe and I have a little pint pulling competition.
Very exciting.
So Sia wins that one. So yeah, all good.
If you do have a business in the district of Stratford-upon-Avon and you would be interested in appearing in the show, do get in touch with us. We can certainly have a chat about it and see if that's something that we can work on together. But now, enjoy the show.
John, thank you very much for allowing us to come to this wonderful location on a beautiful sunny day today.
It's a good day for it, yeah. Definitely.
Just a bit when we finally got here, so yeah, it's brilliant. Well, look, it'd be great just to find out a little bit more about yourself. So, you know, what is it that I know you live locally, what is it that you love most about the local area?
Okay, yeah, I'm John, I'm front of house manager here at Purity. I've lived in Temple Grafton for the last nearly 5 years, which is a little village just between Alston and Stratford, so it's actually ideal for either town. We go to Stratford a lot. It's a country village. It's a great little primary school for our little one. There's a great community spirit as well. There's Facebook groups and everyone chats with each other and nods to each other when we're walking the dogs. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful place to be. Close enough to Stratford to be convenient, but you've got that bit of space as well. So yeah.
Yeah, great. So let's get on to the important. Let's talk beer.
Yeah,
the most important thing in the day on a summer's day like this.
Doesn't matter where you live as long as you've got beer.
Exactly. Life is always better. So it'd be really good just to understand a little bit more about the story behind Purity, how it all started. So if you could just run us through that'd be great.
So Purity was founded in 2005 by two guys, one Paul Halsey and Jim Minkin. A couple of beer industry kind of stalwarts really. Both of them had worked for big breweries, Paul had worked for Bass, Jim, Mitchells and Butlers. Had a lot of contacts in the trade, but what they'd noticed was that the sort of beer had gone off what they remember it being, which was small local breweries, you know, informed by the people, the terrain, kind of what people did for a living. That all went into to create character in the beer. And nearly every town had a brewery, you know, way back in the day. But over years, what had happened is that the sort of brewery industry had homogenised into 4 or 5 mega breweries dotted around the UK, pushing out some not so brilliant beers in their opinion. You know, a lot of character and love had gone from it. It was more of a commodity product. So yeah, what they wanted to do is get back to the basics of brewing beer for locals, really. You know, a small regional brewery dedicated to getting some character and passion back into the stuff, really. So yeah, they set off in 2005 and placed themselves on this wonderful farm site, and yeah, we've been brewing ever since. Started off with 2 beers, Pure Gold and Pure Ubu. We're now up to 8 sort of permanent beers. We've grown from a little lambing shed, which is where we're sat at the moment, in the old, what was Paul's desk, up to a new brewery in 2012, which was a £1.8 million investment, which has allowed us to obviously grow our business up to, you know, the early days were probably 4 or 5 pubs within a 5-mile radius of the brewery. We're now probably a 100-mile radius from the brewery, direct delivery.
Is that how far you go?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you'll find us up, you know, in Staffordshire, down to Oxfordshire, Worcestershire, Leicestershire, Northampton. So we have a big footprint.
Very base Midlands then. Any plans to go further afield? Or are you
always plans to grow. But for us, Heartland community is the basis of the business.
Yeah.
So where other breweries have grown pretty stratospherically and very quickly, our business has always been to be part of the community, and to that end we probably haven't, you know, gone as big and broad as others, but you know, this part of the world, our local pubs, our local drinkers are what we're all about, and we want to keep building that relationship. Really.
So which are the best sellers? You've obviously got a number of lines.
Well, I'd say the 2 beers that we launched were Pure Gold and Pure Ubu, and most Stratfordians would recognise those. Yeah. Very famous. They'll probably know the story behind the dog, you know, the useless bloody urchin, that sort of thing. But when we were joined by Flo, who's our director of brewing, Flo is short for Florent Vialan, he's a Frenchman from Lyon.
I'll get you to say that one.
Yeah, he came over from Lyon in 2000. Or joined Purity in 2006 as the brewer, so Paul and Jim could do their bits of selling and business development, and Flo's gift to the business was Mad Goose, which is like the 3rd of our famous cask beers, and Mad Goose is now our biggest selling cask beer.
Right.
Yeah, a Frenchman's influence, who'd have thought it? Frenchman brewing English beer, but I think what, you know, beer's often been an inferior cousin to wine when we talk about quality and aspiration and, you know, actually enjoying it and thinking about it, and beer is something you generally shovel down your neck as quickly as possible. So I think Flo's influence is kind of this French attention to detail in the flavour, length, balance, aroma, you know, constructing a beer like we would think of a wine naturally is what's made Mad Goose so successful. It's the balance, the aroma, the length, the mouthfeel, all these things are really carefully considered. And people have really cottoned on to that now, so yeah. Yeah,
it's interesting how it's evolved, isn't it, over the years?
It is, yeah. I mean, say the beer industry in general has gone through some pretty climactic shifts. You know, go back 100 years, there was a brewery in every town. They all came under the umbrella of 4 or 5 breweries up until the sort of 90s, and then we had this craft beer revolution. I don't like the word craft beer, but a growth in small regional breweries. So yeah, I think in 2005, I think there were 360 breweries in the UK, and at the last count, we've just gone over 2,100.
Wow!
So 460 new breweries opened in 2017. So it's been a massive increase.
It's a big growth market.
It is a big growth market, and all doing different things. You know, some focusing on cask beer, some more on the keg and crafty element of it. We've positioned ourselves as a good, honest, you know, characterful cask brand, but we're now moving more into some keg beer as well, some of this craft beer with more pronounced hop aromas and kind of more interesting flavours that you might not consider a beer. And things like haziness in beer. 10 years ago, if your beer was hazy, you would send it back to the barman. What's wrong with this? But now, the intention is to actually haze his flavour. Leaving beers unfiltered and unpasteurised actually builds body into them. 10 years ago, you're looking for shelf life as a brewer because you want to brew as much of it as you can and keep it for as long as you can. Modern small breweries are not so worried about shelf life, it's all about flavour. So you don't filter, you don't pasteurise, you leave it as close to that, what leaves the brew house as possible. And I think that's where the success for us has been, is that kind of balance of tradition with Goose, Golden Ubu, but then going forward with beers like Longhorn IPA and Lawless Lager, where you've got some newer takes on what we think in our heads of a lager or an IPA. Some more pronounced hops and some different flavour profiles.
Yeah, we actually had were lucky enough to see the hops as they came out. It was interesting to get a bit of a waft.
I would say when we do the brewery tours, so I do the brewery tours here, and we do them every Saturday at 2:30, and we do some evening ones for private groups as well. It's all about the senses, so we try and fill the senses, and we go into the hop room and we do a rub and play with the hops, and then they can smell the malts in the brew house.
Right.
Most of the time we smell how clean it is because we're fastidiously cleaning all the time because beer needs to be in a clean environment. We're a food producer. Beer is a food product, which I think is rather sweet. There's a real mix of all the senses can get involved, playing with the hops, rubbing them, hearing the farm noises, the cows and the sheep going off.
Yeah, it's a great setting for it, isn't it? Yeah, it really sets off. So it's clearly a growth market, and Purity's grown to a great extent over the last few years. So on a local level then, how many people do you employ?
So we're now 43 people, and that's a pretty even split. So you've obviously got the brew team who have to make the beer. That's around sort of 12 people. So you've got actual brewers, and then you've got a team of guys who clean the barrels, have to put the beer into what we call racking, which is a very physical job. Then we've got obviously the guys who deliver the beer, guys and girls who deliver the beer as well, so what we call the dray crew. So if you see a Purity star in a van, bimbling around Stratford, that'll be the dray crew. Feel free to give them a wave and that sort of thing.
The dray crew, is
dray,
that?
yeah. So it's the dray. So the organisation of getting the beer into a set of pubs is called the dray run.
Right, okay.
It's a logistical operation. So I think Stratford is Friday for us. So if you're in Stratford on a Friday, you'll more than likely see our vans going to our various accounts. So those are professional drivers, and then we've got a finance team. Obviously, there's duty to pay and all that sort of thing as well, and numbers to crunch. And then we have a sales and marketing team. So a few office space, but the sales guys are obviously out knocking on pub doors and trying to spread the business and make sure that also that all the beers are serving our beer, so all the pubs are serving our beer well, because quality is everything for us. So we live and die by the quality that's served to the customer at the end of the day, because we brew fantastic beer. But in terms of car scale, there's a bit of skill and knack to what we call looking after it. So a publican needs to be able to have clean lines, have a clean cellar, make sure the beer is fresh when they serve it and that sort of thing. So the sales isn't just going in and selling beer, it's making sure that our customers, our end drinkers, get a good pint every time.
Yeah, great. So you mentioned you've got the tours here, but we know when we came, you've always got a shop, so you can obviously come up as public and go and buy bits.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're lucky enough now to have our sort of our Holy Trinity, the Gold Goose and Ubu, distributed quite widely through the supermarkets, which is great. That's helped us grow the business, but up here we have the products that you won't find in the supermarkets. So we launched a beer last year called Session IPA, which is this newer style of hazy, hoppy, grapefruit peel in there and all sorts. And that's only available really for the most part in can through our shops. You won't find that in the supermarkets, you'll find that in independent retailers and shops. But mini casks of live beer, so and poly pins, and you can even buy a 72 pint firkin. If you're having
72 pints?
72 pints. That's the that's the standard kind of pub measure. That's what we'd sell to
Is that right? 72 pints? Wow.
72 pints or a firkin or 9 gallons. So we can say, if you're having a big party, we'll happily supply you one of those as well. A poly pin is 35 pints. A mini cask is 9 pints, and this is live beer, so this isn't the stuff that has been filtered and killed off to go into can or bottle. This is the stuff that you get in the pub, basically.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Look, thank you very much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. Always enjoy going around looking at beer. It's a favourite pastime of mine. So look, thank you very much for your time, John. That's great. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Come on then, Joe. This is a little competition I'll be looking forward to. So we can have a bit of a test here, so we can pull the best pint. So John is kindly going to show us how to do it. So take it away, John. Show us how it's done.
Okay. So, nice clean glass, obviously needs the purity branding on it, that's really important. Sparkle on the end of what's called the swan's neck, this is the pump valve. You've got a hand pull, this is a 4-pull pint. So, glass right to the bottom and then pull. The first pull is where you generate the nice tight creamy head. So you'll hear it, make that lovely noise. That's when you know a good pint's on its way. So we've got 4 pulls.
Look at that. That's how it's done.
There we go. Nice full
No
pint.
pressure,
Set the benchmark.
So there we go. You've got the nice tight creamy head. You've got the nitrogen bubbles, which are the small bubbles. They'll all look like they're falling. Actually, eventually the beer will clear. It will go nice and what we call bright and polished. And then that'll be ready to drink. Serve nice and cool, 11 degrees, no warmer than that. Perfect pint of Ubi. Once that rises up, it's nice and tight. It's good quality. Just
not as much spillage as Joe's.
Yeah, I always want to be on a drip.
I like to give my customers value for money. You see, that's
most
why
important thing.
Get it right at the
in any handover of a pint is that you don't put your fingers around the top. That's the most important thing. You see too many people treat it like it's one of those things. And
hygiene.
Because my mouth's going to go down there. So please don't put it over the bar to me like that. But
don't cover the branding.
Don't cover the branding. So branding always facing forward when you hand the beer over. It's all part of the experience because it's not just the drink. It's about having the right glassware and building the experience and building the anticipation as well.
So come on, let's put you down on this. Which one? Pick a pint.
That's got to be a draw, hasn't it? That has to be a draw.
We'll take that. You've done this before, haven't you?
Proof is in the drink.
Do I get a handicap on this?
You do get a handicap, yeah.
So just a little marginal win for me there.
I think as a
I'm
very easy to say, but it's the first time.
Come on, Joe, you need to be a bit pushy.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. It's the first time, they're both really good efforts, but it's the confidence on that first pull. And then what you would hope is that the head will retain all the way through the drinking of the pint, and you'll get, when you see that lovely the building down of the foam around the outside of the glass, that indicates a really good pint.
Who would have thought there was so much science to beer? And I just go and drink it.
That's only in pouring and drinking it. You never mind the actual brewing, which is 95% science. So absolutely, it's a relatively simple product, but delivering it perfectly is well.
Yeah. Well, I think we should take a drink to that.
Yeah,
a lot of hard work.
Thank you.
I'll drink my own. Thanks.
Cheers.
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 We hope you found that interview fascinating. We certainly did, didn't we, Joe?
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah.
Great time.
It was a bit like a science lesson, wasn't it? Who knew making beer was so scientific.
I know. Well, I think what was great was that you saw the whole process. So they took you on the whole journey from start to finish, and you did learn so much.
Yeah, and we got to taste the beer, which is always a bonus.
Absolutely.
So it's good. I still can't believe it takes 8 pints of water to make 1 pint of beer. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
I think most people, to be honest, would be shocked by that, because I know I certainly was. And there is an incredible amount of waste otherwise, but Purity do something quite special, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, they're the first brewers in the whole of the country to effectively create these man-made lakes where all the excess water goes into, so they put it back into the water table. So very sustainable and obviously great for the environment, so good on them. And I just think it's great to see it as such a thriving local business, isn't it? It shows you don't have to be based in the cities here to create an absolutely amazing business. They had 10 million turnover, so it just shows what can be done. It's real success story there, so it's great. And on that note, they've been really good to us actually. So they have given us 2 free complimentary passes that you can win for the brewery tour. So Jo, do you want to tell us about how they can win?
So to enter the competition, you simply need to like, share and comment on Stratford Life TV page. In the comments, you will need to answer a question. Now, the question is, where did the name Ubu come from? There is a clue on a bottle of beer, so if you do want to make sure you get the correct answer, buy a bottle of Purity and the answer will be there for you. But do make sure that you cover all aspects of the competition to be in a chance to win your tickets.
Yeah, and I can't really let this segment go without just saying, I think 1-0 to me.
Ed would like to remind us that he did win the beer pulling competition.
Yep. Well, I suppose, we don't like to... let's not brag. Carry on. Come on.
Anyway, in today's Stat Chat, Ed is going to be talking about the houses that are performing the best, so we're going to be moving on to that now.
In this episode of Stat Chat, I was going to talk about bargains and Brexit, but we're all a bit bored of that anyway, so to be honest, I thought I'd mix things up and throw that one away and start again. So this week we are going to be looking at which types of property are selling the best locally. Quite interesting insight if I do say so myself. So I think one of the things to outline at the beginning is moving house is undoubtedly one of the most stressful things. In fact, it lies third behind death and divorce, so it's not great, to be honest with you. I think a lot of that though goes down to lack of research. I think I love this phrase, failing to prepare is preparing to fail, and I think that summarises it perfectly. It's a big thing moving house, so you do have to spend a little bit of time at the beginning making sure you've done your research. It will make a huge difference to your stress levels, which is quite important. So how can you reduce it? Well, as I said, research is everything. Do your homework of where you want to be. Knowledge is power, it just goes without saying that. So I think research where you are at the moment and where you want to be. They're 2 big things. And speed is another thing as well. You have to look at the turnaround time of the selling time of property. So by that, you want to look at where you're living currently to see how quickly that type of property is selling. And again, you want to look at where you're buying and see how quickly those type of properties are selling. Because of course, these are key vital elements of making your move less stressful. So if you're selling in a property in a sluggish price range, but you're buying in a faster one, it goes without saying that you've got to put your property on the market first. It's absolutely vital. You just can't really start the process the other way around. You're just going to fail otherwise, and I think that is one of the big problems with making it so stressful, to be fair. The other side of it really, if you're selling in a fast moving market but you're buying in a sluggish one, then of course you can take a bit more time, and you can probably get a better deal as well. So both sides of the coins, but the most important thing about that is you need to know. If you don't know, you can't adapt around it, so that's absolutely vital. And I think for buy-to-let landlords, all of those things are absolutely critical. If you know you're buying in a sort of a slower area, then actually you can get some good deals, but also if you are buying in an area that's getting high levels of volume of transactions, that can be a good thing, because obviously that means it's a popular location, there's going to be a high demand, and where there's a high demand of that, you often find that's where a lot of the tenants want to live. So not only do you get a good yield, but then also you get a good house price growth. So all of those things are intrinsically linked. The thing about this, obviously, I do spend my living looking at the property market, so I don't really like the word expert, but I think I do this for a job, so it's quite important. It allows me to then give you a buy-to-let, the best advice, or indeed if you're just moving home for yourself, we like to think we can give you some good opinions and insights there as well. So what I've done in this section, I split the market into sections, and by that I mean into price segments, and what I could then do is analyse which price range was performing the best, and indeed the worst. So what I've done is split it up into 4 categories, which represent basically 25% of the marketplace. I've added them all up together, include the for sale and the solds, and let's have a look at the results. So what we can see, up to 200,000, we had 69 for sale, 37 sold. Up 200 to 290, 66 available, 42 sold. 290 to 425, 70, 55, and then 425 upwards, 73 for sale, 34. So what does that actually mean? It means this. So what's interesting about it, although most of these price ranges are fairly close together, what is quite interesting, it's probably no great surprise that the higher end of the market, so 425 up, is performing a little bit lower. The sweet spot in the market at the moment, which is representing almost half of it, is between 290 to 425. That is where the majority is going. As I said, the upper end is a little bit slower, probably to be expected. I think what is quite interesting though is that the lower market, so this segment here up to 200, is actually one of the second smallest, which if you are a landlord out there, I think that represents a good opportunity, because there's probably some good investments out there that you could pick up, because I was quite surprised. I thought that would actually be one of the more buoyant segments of the market, when in fact it actually isn't. So as I say, there could be some good things out there. So conclude really, I think first time buyers have grown. 2017, 2018 increased, however we were at sort of a low starting point. I think there are two things really. Not everybody can either afford or wants to buy their home. Certainly the 20 to 30-year-olds is becoming more expensive. Another issue is local councils, they haven't got enough money generally to build new properties, but there is a demand there for private landlords because people have to have a roof over their head essentially. So I think the big thing is, if you do have any questions on the market or particularly on this, feel free, pick my brains, drop me a line on social media. I'll be more than happy to have a conversation.
Great presentation. I think we all really enjoyed that. What was it, do you think, when you were researching it, Ed, that maybe was a little bit surprising?
I think probably the one thing would be the lower end of the market, at the up to 200. I just assumed maybe that would be a bit busier. So I think it just goes to show there probably is still some good opportunities for buy-to-let landlords out there, because that market perhaps isn't moving quite as quick, so there could be some good opportunities. In fact, if you remember last week's buy-to-let deal, that fell into that category, so that type of thing would be great. If you do want any more information on the market or want to have a chat about the property market, then feel free to drop us a message on the social media page of Facebook, and we can have a chat.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see where your buy-to-let deal is this week, so let's move on.
Let's go to it. Warwickshire landlords, I've got a great buy-to-let for you today. I've been out and about searching for the best properties, even braving the weather for you. It has been horrible today, and there's a good chance I'm going to get absolutely drenched in a minute, so I'm going to try and be quick. So where am I? I am in Wellesbourne on Elliott Drive. I think the property behind me represents a great buy-to-let. It's a 2 double-bedroomed end terrace. You've got a modern kitchen, modern bathroom, living room, nice garden and parking at the back. The boiler looks quite new. It's a Worcester Bosch boiler as well. It's currently on the market for 180,000. Assuming you can pick it up for something in the region of 175,000, it should rent out for a figure of 775 per calendar month, which will give you a rental yield of just over 5.3%, which is good in anybody's book. Why do I like it? Well, I like it because it's modern inside for a start off. You're very close to the town centre here. You can get out to the local supermarket and also out onto the M40, so I think it's really well placed. Properties like this, in our opinion, always rent well to professional tenants. It shouldn't be difficult to get it let, so I think it represents an excellent buy to let. It's currently on the market with Connells, and before you suspicious people think it is no coincidence, I know last week's was also on Connells, but this is Wellesbourne's Connells, and it just so happens this just is the best deal that I found. So give them a quick call, have a chat with them, book interview. I really think it is a very good deal. I hope you agree. I think that was a really good buy-to-let deal there. Fantastic yield. Just goes to show there are some really good buys to still be had out there. And I think whether you're looking to get into the buy-to-let market or indeed increasing your portfolio, there's some good opportunities out there. So really recommend you to go and take a look.
And now to our home styling tips. You may remember in last week's episode, we were giving a really top tip on how to market your property to really show the scale of the bedroom with our fake bed. Pretty convincing, I think. This week, we're going to look at how you can revamp your kitchen with big results, small pot of cash.
Today I'm going to be talking to you about kitchens. Now we all know kitchens are probably the heart of every home these days, but when you come to change them, they are just a bit of a pain. There's disruption that goes with it, the cost as well, especially if you've got family and kids and things. It is very, very difficult. This solution I think is just perfect on so many fronts, not only because it allows you to keep the carcasses in place so you still get the functionality of your kitchen for the whole time, so you keep everything in the cupboards. I just think it's a great thing to do. Because often what you find with kitchens is that the actual unit styles themselves doesn't change that frequently. So for example, shaker kitchens have been in now for 20 years and they're still going strong. If you look in all the home magazines, that's pretty much what all the top designers still use. The difference being is that years gone by, you'd have a beech and a birch sort of finish to the kitchen, which has sort of fallen out of favour now when people go for more the painted units. But the problem with that, of course, is you don't really want to be getting rid of something that's practically very good to change it basically for exactly the same stylized shaker to shaker. So this idea I think is absolutely fantastic, because what it allows you to do is keep all the carcasses in place and just change the fronts. So how this works, a company come along, they basically take the unit fronts away, leave the carcasses exactly as they are, so your kitchen still stays fully functional, your plumbing stays in place, all the bits and bobs in the cupboard stay there. They take away the unit fronts, spray paint them to whatever colour you want, and then bring them back and install them. And what they then do is on site, they'll then mask off and they'll actually paint the plinths and the other bits they weren't able to take away with them. And the result is what you can see behind me, which I'll show you in a bit more detail at the moment. Now, this is a fabulous way to do it because, as I said, it means that you have the least amount of disruption. And from a time point of view, the whole process from start to finish takes no more than around about 2 days, which I think is great because traditionally, if you're going to change your whole kitchen, you'd be talking weeks. And most importantly, I think it's fantastic value for money. We understand a kitchen of this size, which by the way is a good sized kitchen here. It costs around about £1,200, which I think is fantastic value because basically it completely revamps your kitchen at a fraction of the cost that it normally would. And it looks absolutely stunning. Great thing, you can pick whatever colour you want. The finish is a factory finish, so it comes back no different to ones you go and buy. But of course, you don't have all that disruption. So I have to say, I think this is a fantastic tip. I'd highly endorse anybody who's thinking of changing their kitchen, just look into this first, because as long as the sort of layout of the kitchen you're happy with, you're not going to change it, then this is just a superb way of doing it. And it really is, the finish I can honestly say is absolutely brilliant. So I'd really, really suggest you go and have a look at it. We'll take you around a bit more detail, have a look now. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. Well, what a transformation. I think I was a little bit unsure when I first heard the idea, but then when I saw the results, I was just blown away.
It's unbelievable though, isn't it?
It's crazy. I mean, I think when you think about changing your kitchen, I think a lot of people think about changing their kitchens, but often put it off because it's just so disruptive. You've got everything out, particularly if you have got family and kids, you know, it's just a real headache of a job. And I think this is just a brilliant solution that allows you to still keep it fully functioning.
Yeah, absolutely. So unobtrusive.
Oh, absolutely. And the finish, to be honest, is as good as you would get if you just bought a new one anyway, because the carcasses you don't really see. So yeah, I just highly endorse anyone to look into that in a bit more detail if you are indeed considering revamping your kitchen. On that note, if you have a particular feature of your home that you're particularly proud of, or a solution that you've come up to, please get in touch. We'd happily feature you on the show as well. So let us know if you've come up with an ingenious idea.
And this brings us on to save the date in your diary. So there will be an amazing food festival taking place in Ulster. That's going to be on Saturday the 18th of May. Now, the event's been going for 10 years now. Each year it gets bigger and better. Not only have you got lots of stalls in the street with food to eat, so you've got street food, there'll be a pig roast, there's food to take away, but also the local businesses will be getting involved as well. All of the products will be local, so there's lots of things to really take advantage of. There'll be sort of entertainment, buskers, Take advantage of the free park and ride, which will go from the Mill Industrial Estate. All details are on the Ulster Food Festival website. So do take a look. If you can't make it in May, they do run one in October as well. So it's a great event for all the family.
Yeah, great opportunity to support local businesses and get some quite unique produce and things, isn't it?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
definitely, in a great atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching the show. This is the conclusion of episode 2.
Absolutely.
All good fun. Thank you for watching.